What happens when a bigoted security officer assaults a woman in a city hall hearing room, only to find out minutes later she's the incoming director of internal affairs. One hall, one man drunk on authority, one woman with nothing to prove until justice calls. It was a rainy Tuesday in the heart of Metrovale, and the municipal building was buzzing. Inside hearing room C, a crowd of citizens, officials, and legal aides fidgeted, checking watches and whispering under their breath as they waited for hearings to start. In the back corner, a composed woman named Monica Reyes sat calmly, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, her tablet in hand. She wasn't part of the docket. She wasn't an attorney. But her presence was deliberate, and her quiet confidence commanded attention, if you were smart enough to notice. Trevor Kane, a senior building security agent with a reputation for being overly aggressive and undereducated on ethics, clocked Monica from across the room. His instinct wasn't curiosity, it was assumption. He saw a black woman in an official space and decided she didn't belong. Without so much as a greeting, he marched over and barked, "This section's for authorized personnel only." "Move it." Monica looked up, cool but firm. "I'm here on assignment." Trevor didn't ask what kind. He didn't care. Instead, he nudged her chair with his boot, sending her bag and digital documents tumbling. "I said move." He muttered something ugly under his breath. People glanced over but stayed quiet. Everyone knew Trevor Kane, and no one wanted to be his next target. But what Trevor didn't know was this. Monica Reyes wasn't out of place. She wasn't there for a hearing. She was there on a mission. That very afternoon, she was scheduled to be introduced as the new Director of Oversight and Accountability for the Department of Municipal Affairs, the very agency responsible for investigating misconduct across city offices, including security enforcement. Monica had chosen to come early, in plain clothes, to observe behavior in the wild, when the uniforms didn't know the system was watching back. Trevor Kane had just volunteered himself for a live demonstration. She picked up her tablet, made a few notes, and said nothing. Because sometimes the loudest lesson is the one you let echo. Later that day, the department's conference room was at capacity. Rumors flew. Everyone wanted to know who the new director would be. Trevor leaned against the wall, sipping burnt coffee and laughing as he retold his run-in with some chick acting like she ran the place. The laughter stopped the moment Deputy Mayor Halston walked in. He tapped the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the new Director of Oversight, Monica Reyes." Silence. Monica stepped in, now in full department uniform, her badge gleaming, her eyes steady. Trevor's face turned to ash. As she walked to the podium, she never looked his way, but the silence in the room did all the talking. When she addressed the team, her voice was firm, level. "We are entrusted to protect this city, not just its buildings, but its values. That means holding ourselves to the highest standards. There is no space in this institution for abuse, intimidation, or prejudice. Not anymore." Then she called his name. "Mr. Kane, please step forward." The room shifted. Kane, now drenched in sweat, stumbled to the front. Monica opened a folder and calmly read from it. "Effective immediately, your access is revoked. You are suspended pending formal review for misconduct, both today and based on existing complaints." He tried to object, but she shut it down. "This is not retaliation. It's accountability, and it's long overdue." The room exhaled. Quiet nods of support passed between colleagues. That day marked a shift in culture. Under Monica's leadership, the department implemented real reforms, mandatory training, an anonymous reporting system, and rotating audits. It wasn't just about punishing one man. It was about proving leadership isn't a rank. It's a responsibility. What happened in that cold, fluorescent-lit room wasn't just a personnel shakeup. It was a message. Not just to Trevor Kane, not just to the city staff watching in stunned silence, but to every institution that allows power to fester without purpose, and every system that lets ego outrun ethics. Monica Reyes didn't come in swinging. She didn't shout, threaten, or perform. She came in watching, waiting, listening, because real leaders don't chase spotlight. They own their moment when it arrives. What Trevor saw was a woman alone in a chair, taking up space he didn't think she deserved. What he failed to see was the storm behind her silence. And that's the mistake people like him always make. They underestimate calm. They misread grace. But most fatally, they forget that titles change, tides turn, and sooner or later, someone's watching when they think no one is. Monica could have made that moment personal. She could have embarrassed him in court, flung his hate back at him, and left him scrambling in front of the same people he tried to impress. But she didn't. She played the long game. Because she knew this wasn't just about one incident in one room. This was about setting a new standard. She waited. She gathered facts. She let the system see itself. Then, with the weight of authority behind her and the respect of the room at her back, she acted. And in doing so, she rewrote the rules. After that day, people walked differently in that building. Security guards double-checked procedures. Staff actually read their codes of conduct. And officers who once shrugged off minor complaints now listened a little longer and responded a little faster. That's what real change looks like. Not fireworks, not chaos, just systems getting sharper, people getting braver, and silence getting a little less comfortable for those who thrive in it. But Monica didn't stop at Trevor Kane. In the months that followed, her team launched an internal audit that uncovered outdated protocols, unresolved complaints, and a deeply flawed accountability structure. She pushed through reforms that had been stalled for years, tightening hiring standards, expanding bias training, and making disciplinary records accessible for oversight review. People complained at first, like they always do when comfort gets challenged. But slowly, the noise quieted, and in its place came something new: respect. Not just for Monica, but for what she represented. Courage, integrity, precision. The kind of leadership that doesn't need a badge to be powerful, but earns one because it is. Trevor Kane, meanwhile, quietly disappeared from city employment records 6 weeks later. No press release, no ceremony, just a final report filed and signed off by the very woman he once called just another nobody. Only she wasn't. She never was. Monica Reyes was a mirror, held up to a broken structure and tilted just enough to reflect everyone who helped build it. Some flinched, others stepped up, and if there's one thing we should all take from her story, it's this. Sometimes the loudest justice doesn't roar. It walks in with a quiet stare, a full folder, and the authority to end the cycle. So here's the question. When power is abused right in front of you, do you react or do you respond? Do you make noise or do you make change? Monica responded. And she didn't just stop one man. She rewrote what power looks like and who gets to hold it. Because at the end of the day, respect isn't given. It's earned in silence, in storms, and in the moments that make history.